I started my career at Denny's. I was a dishwasher, then a busboy, then a waiter. I wasn't just any busboy, I was the best busboy in the world. I could clean a table faster and more efficiently than anyone else. I knew exactly how to move, how to stack the plates, how to anticipate where the mess would be. I learned how to handle the pressure of a Saturday night rush, how to keep my cool when the kitchen was screaming and the customers were impatient. That job, as humble as it was, taught me something that defines every single thing we do at NVIDIA today. No job is beneath you, and excellence is a choice you make every single day, regardless of the task. If you can't clean a table with passion and precision, how can you expect to build a world-changing computer? When we started NVIDIA in that same Denny's, sitting in a booth with Chris and Curtis, we weren't thinking about being the most valuable company in the world. We were thinking about how to solve a problem that no one else wanted to touch. We were thinking about the physics of light and the math of 3D graphics. We were operating from first principles. We asked ourselves, what is the most fundamental way to accelerate computing? The answer wasn't to make the CPU faster. It was to create a new kind of processor that could do thousands of things at once. We were building something that didn't exist before. And because it didn't exist, we had to be willing to fail. We had to be willing to be misunderstood for decades. That mindset is what allowed us to survive the moments when we were 30 days from bankruptcy. It's what allowed us to bet the company on CUDA when the rest of the world thought we were crazy. And it is that same mindset that brings me to the vision I want to share with you today. We are at the dawn of the most significant shift in human productivity since the steam engine. For decades, we have used computers as tools. You sit at a desk, you type on a keyboard, and the computer does exactly what you tell it to do. But that era is ending. We are moving from the era of tools to the era of agents. We are moving toward a future where we don't just use software, we hire it. I am here to tell you that the next great evolution is coming, the era of the digital employee. To understand why this is happening now, you have to understand the crisis facing traditional computing. For 60 years, the industry followed Moore's law. We expected performance to double every couple of years without any extra effort, but the physics have changed. We can no longer shrink transistors effectively without the heat becoming unmanageable and the costs skyrocketing. The free lunch of general-purpose computing is over. If we want to keep scaling human intelligence, we have to change the way we build the machines that generate it. We have to move toward accelerated computing. Accelerated computing is the only way forward. By offloading the most intensive tasks to specialized processors like Blackwell, we can achieve speedups of 100x or even 1000x while using significantly less energy. This isn't just a technical achievement, it's an economic mandate. As the demand for AI grows exponentially, we cannot simply build more traditional data centers. We would run out of power and we would run out of land. We have to make computing more efficient. We have to turn every data center into an AI factory. An AI factory is a place where data comes in and intelligence comes out. And just like the factories of the first industrial revolution had workers, these new factories will have workers too. But they won't all be biological. Many of them will be digital. This is my prediction. In the very near future, every company will have a workforce that is a combination of human employees and digital employees. These digital employees will be agents, autonomous entities that understand the context of your business, the goals of your projects, and the nuances of your culture. Let's look at this from first principles. What does an employee actually do? An employee takes in information, processes it according to a set of goals, uses tools to perform tasks, and collaborates with others to produce a result. Until now, AI couldn't do this. Chatbots could talk, but they couldn't work. They didn't have memory, they didn't have agency, and they couldn't reason through complex multi-step problems. But that has changed. With the advent of Agentic AI, we are building systems that can reason, they can plan, they can use a web browser, they can write and execute code, they can coordinate with other agents to solve problems that are too big for any one entity. At NVIDIA, we are already living in this future. People often ask me how I manage a company of 30,000 people with a completely flat structure. I have 50 direct reports. I don't have a corner office. I don't have a mahogany desk. I am in the trenches with my team every single day. Why? Because hierarchy is a bottleneck for information. In a fast-moving world, you cannot wait for information to travel up and down a ladder. You need context to be shared instantly. You need everyone to have the mind of the CEO. Digital employees fit perfectly into this flat structure. Imagine a digital engineer that has read every line of code NVIDIA has ever written, that understands every bug we've ever fixed, and that can work 24/7 to optimize our newest drivers. This isn't a tool that the human engineer uses, it's a collaborator. It's a digital employee that sits in on the meetings, understands the mission, and takes action autonomously. When you have a flat structure, these digital employees can move just as fast as the humans. They don't need management in the traditional sense. They need context. This is the work of your life, building things that didn't exist. We are building the infrastructure for these digital employees. It starts with the hardware, with Blackwell, but it extends through the entire stack. We need a new kind of operating system for these agents. We need a way for them to interact with the physical world through digital twins. This is why we built Omniverse. A digital employee who is learning how to operate a robotic arm in a factory doesn't learn in the real world where it might break something or hurt someone. It learns in the Omniverse. It learns in a world that obeys the laws of physics but has no consequences for failure. It fails 1 billion times in simulation so that it can be perfect the first time it enters the physical world. This is the concept of physical AI. It is the marriage of the digital brain with the physical body. But before these agents have bodies, they will have roles in our offices, our labs, and our creative studios. Think about a digital marketing employee. Instead of just generating an image based on a prompt, this agent researches the current trends, analyzes your brand guidelines, looks at the performance of your past campaigns, and then creates a full marketing strategy, executes the assets, and monitors the results in real time. It reasons, it adapts, it works. We are seeing the demand for this intelligence explode. I often say that the demand is insane, and I mean it. Every CEO I talk to is asking the same question: how do I turn my data into a digital workforce? They realize that the companies that win the next decade will be the ones that can scale their intelligence the fastest, and you cannot scale intelligence fast enough if you are only relying on human hiring. You have to be able to manufacture intelligence. You have to be able to spin up 1,000 digital employees to solve a sudden problem and then spin them down when the job is done. This requires a level of resilience that most companies aren't prepared for. It requires a willingness to rethink everything. When we were building the Riva 128, we knew that if we failed, it was over. That gave us a clarity of focus that is rare in big companies. I try to maintain that clarity every day. I tell our team, run, don't walk. Because if you are walking, someone else is running, and they are going to catch you. In the era of AI, the speed of innovation is so high that if you stop to celebrate your success for even a moment, you've already lost your lead. We choose the hard problems. We choose the problems that are impossible. Building a digital employee that can actually reason is an impossible problem. It requires a deep understanding of linguistics, logic, physics, and human behavior. It requires a massive amount of compute, but we are tackling it because we know that if we don't, no one else will. We are the ones who build the foundation. We are the ones who provide the picks and shovels for the AI revolution. But I want to be humble about this. We don't have all the answers. We are learning every day. We are failing every day. I often tell students, I wish upon you ample doses of pain and suffering. I say it because I want them to have the character that can only be built through adversity. To build a digital employee, we have to endure the pain of 1,000-hour training runs that fail at the last minute. We have to endure the suffering of redesigning an entire architecture because we hit a wall in the physics of the interconnect. But that pain is the price of admission for the future. The digital employee is not a threat to the human employee. It is the ultimate liberation. When I was washing dishes at Denny's, it was a repetitive, physical, and often exhausting job. If there had been a robot to do that, I could have spent my time learning more about the business, or helping the customers, or coming up with new ideas. Digital employees will take the dishwasher tasks out of every job. They will handle the data entry, the scheduling, the basic coding, the preliminary research. This will leave the humans free to do what we do best: dream, lead, and innovate. We are moving from a world where you are defined by what you can do to a world where you are defined by what you can imagine. If you have 1,000 digital employees at your command, what will you build? What problems will you solve? This is the question every person in this room and everyone watching this video needs to ask themselves. The bottleneck is no longer the labor, it is the vision. The transition to this new era is happening much faster than people realize. We are seeing the first generation of these agents being deployed in customer service, in software development, and in silicon design. At NVIDIA, we use AI to design our next generation of AI chips. It is a virtuous cycle. The AI helps us build better hardware, which allows us to run even more powerful AI. This is the definition of exponential growth. And in an exponential world, slow is the same as standing still. You have to be urgent. You have to be willing to tear down your old systems and start from first principles. If your company is built on a hierarchy of people who just pass information back and forth, you are going to be disrupted by a company with 3 humans and 10,000 digital agents. The economics of intelligence are changing. The cost of a token of reasoning is dropping by orders of magnitude. When reasoning becomes cheap and abundant, the way you run a business changes completely. I want to share with you how we are preparing for this, how we are building the brains for these digital employees. It's not just about the size of the model, it's about the system of thought. It's about the system of thought where a model isn't just predicting the next word, but is deliberating, reflecting, and checking its own work. When a human employee thinks about a problem, they don't just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind. They reason. They simulate outcomes. They look at the problem from different angles. This is what we call inference time compute, and it is the secret sauce behind the digital employees we are building today. Blackwell was designed specifically to provide the massive throughput required for this kind of multi-step reasoning. We aren't just training models anymore, we are running the cognitive processes of a new digital workforce. Think about the first principles of value creation. In the old economy, value was limited by the number of hours a human could work and the physical capacity of a machine. In the new economy, value is generated by the number of intelligent tokens you can produce. If you can produce those tokens cheaply and at a massive scale, you can solve any problem. This is why I say the digital employee is inevitable. We are moving from software as a service to intelligence as a service. You won't just buy a subscription to a CRM. You will hire a digital sales agent that lives inside that CRM, manages your pipeline, and actually closes deals. This shift will happen first in the places where the work is most data intensive and the cognitive load is highest. Look at chip design at NVIDIA. It is one of the most complex human endeavors. We have billions of transistors that must be placed with nanometer precision. A human team, no matter how brilliant, can only explore a tiny fraction of the possible designs. But a digital employee, an AI agent specialized in floor planning, can explore millions of variations in a single night. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't have an ego. It just relentlessly pursues the goal of maximum efficiency. We have already seen this in our own labs. Our latest chips are better because they were designed by the generation that came before them, amplified by digital workers. But let me be clear. This requires a fundamental re-engineering of your company. You cannot simply sprinkle AI on top of a broken hierarchical organization and expect it to work. Digital employees need a flat environment to thrive. They need access to the same data, the same context, and the same goals as your human staff. If you hide information behind layers of management, your digital employees will be just as confused and ineffective as a siloed human team. You have to build an AI native company from the ground up. This is the work of our lives. We are not just building the chips, we are building the blueprint for the 21st century corporation. I often think about the resilience required to navigate this transition. When we were 30 days from bankruptcy during the Rive 128 era, it wasn't just about the technology, it was about the culture. We had to be humble enough to admit our previous approach was wrong, but resilient enough to keep going. Many companies today are afraid of the digital employee. They are afraid of what it means for their current business models. But I tell you, the danger isn't in adopting AI. The danger is in clinging to the old way of working while the world moves on. You have to have the desire for suffering that I talk about. You have to be willing to break your own company before someone else breaks it for you. We are moving toward a world where the marginal cost of intelligence is heading towards zero. Think about what that means. In the 20th century, we saw the marginal cost of energy drop, which led to the proliferation of appliances and vehicles that changed our lives. In the 21st century, the marginal cost of intelligence, the cost of a digital employee's labor, is going to drop similarly. When intelligence becomes as abundant as electricity, every person on the planet becomes a manager, a director, a visionary. You will no longer be limited by your technical skills, but by the scale of your curiosity. This is the iPhone moment for the labor market. Just as the iPhone turned everyone into a mobile computer user, Agentic AI will turn everyone into a leader of a digital team. But to lead that team, you have to understand the first principles of the problems you are trying to solve. You cannot delegate thinking entirely. You have to provide the agents with the mission, the ethics, and the final judgment. The human becomes the director of intelligence. Your job is to orchestrate the collaboration between your human geniuses and your digital workers. People ask me, Jensen, what happens to the people? I look them in the eye and I say, the people will be more powerful than ever before. We are giving every human a superpower. If you are a scientist, we are giving you a digital biologist that can simulate millions of protein folds in a day. If you are a teacher, we are giving you a digital assistant that can provide a personalized curriculum for every single student in your class. If you are a coder, we are giving you a digital partner that handles the syntax so you can focus on the architecture. This is not about subtraction, it is about multiplication. But this multiplication requires a massive amount of accelerated computing. This is why Blackwell is so critical. We are building the reasoning engines of the future. Each Blackwell rack is like a small brain, capable of processing the vast amounts of data required for these digital employees to learn and act. We are moving away from the cloud as a place where we store photos and toward the cloud as a place where we hire intelligence. The data center is becoming the AI factory of the digital workforce. I see a future where digital employees are as common as email addresses. Every small business will have a digital accountant, a digital marketer, and a digital logistics coordinator. This will allow a single person in a garage to compete with a Fortune 500 company. It is the ultimate democratization of opportunity, but it only happens if you are willing to run, don't walk. The companies that are waiting for the technology to mature are the ones that will be disrupted. The technology is maturing right now in real time on top of NVIDIA's platform. The urgency is real. The revolution is not 10 years away. It is happening this afternoon. We are seeing thousands of companies already deploying these agents. They are finding that a digital employee can do in seconds what used to take weeks. They are finding that their human teams are happier because they are finally free from the repetitive, soul-crushing tasks that used to define their days. This is the truth of the digital employee. It is the end of work as drudgery and the beginning of work as creation. I want you to think back to your own Denny's moment. Think about the most basic, most difficult, or most repetitive part of your job. That is where your first digital employee should start. Don't try to automate the whole company at once. Start with a single agent that does one thing perfectly. Learn from its failures, improve its system of thought, and then scale. This is how we built NVIDIA. We didn't try to build the world's most powerful AI company on day one. We tried to build the world's best 3D graphics chip. We focused on one impossible problem at a time. We are all pioneers in this new landscape. There is no map. There are only first principles. The physics of computing tells us that acceleration is the only path. The economics of AI tell us that intelligence will be the most valuable commodity in history. And the history of human progress tells us that whenever we have created a new way to amplify our labor, we have entered a new age of prosperity. As we look toward the future, I see a world where human creativity is the only limit. We are building the machines that will help us solve the problems we thought were unsolvable. We are building the digital employees that will work alongside us to cure diseases, to stabilize the climate, and to explore the stars. It is an incredible time to be alive. It is an incredible time to be an engineer, a creator, or an entrepreneur. But remember, character is built in the struggle. Don't be afraid of the complexity. Don't be afraid of the failures. Embrace the pain and suffering of learning this new world. Because on the other side of that effort is a level of capability that humanity has never seen before. We are handing you the keys to the AI factory. We are giving you the engine of the digital workforce. What you do with it is up to you. The future is not a far-off place. It is something we are constructing with every line of code, every Blackwell rack, and every new agent we deploy. We are building it today. We are building it right now, and we are doing it together. Run, don't walk. Toward your dreams, toward the impossible, and toward this new era of digital intelligence. The race has started, and the prize is the liberation of the human spirit. Before I go, I want to thank you for being part of this incredible journey. If you want to stay at the frontier of this revolution and see how we are bringing the digital employee to life, please subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It helps us reach more visionaries who are ready to build the future. And please, I mean this, if you have questions about how Agentic AI works, how to prepare your company for digital employees, or anything else about NVIDIA's vision, leave them in the comments. I will be reading them and I will respond as quickly as I can. I want to learn from you just as much as you learn from us. The logical conclusion of our journey is this: in a world of infinite intelligence and autonomous agents, the only thing that cannot be automated is your vision, your purpose, and your humanity. That is the truth. That is the promise. Run, don't walk. Thank you.